No.
Oh!
Oh, no!
That went between.
How do you like that, baby? Woo!
Sorry, I'll get it.
I'm like lost now.
Oh, that went in between. No,
In between.
it didn't.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
I don't see
Pastor
it.
Carney. Phil has left the building because my pen spread wings.
Yeah, I have no idea.
And
It's out here. It came through.
Okay.
my pen sprouted wings, and
Phil was a bully.
I have. Bill was a bully. No, Phil was a. Anyway.
3 questions with Pastor Carney.
We all have questions, and Pastor Carney has answers. We all want to know what he thinks. There's important information to know. What are his thoughts? How did he get here? What's his favorite golf ball? It's time for 3 questions with Pastor Carney.
I'm not going to go with the easy answer, God, the Bible. Okay.
I mean, you can list it as well. I said sum up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, God, Bible, Jesus, those.
You all know the
For all
top.
of us.
You all know the top 3: Father, Son, Holy Spirit. You got that. So I'm going to stay away from the churchy answers, and go with more of who. And you've heard me mention these 2 names before, and I want to mention them again. One would be Pastor Otto Struckman. Alan Work and know Otto Struckman. Otto was the pastor of the church that was probably a mile from us in Lockport, New York. And this guy, pastor, he could put together a spirit-filled, awe-inspiring worship service. He had the spiritual gift, if there was such a thing, of putting together worship services and what worship is all about. And I sat at his feet for probably 11 years, 12 years. And I just sat down like a sponge and soaked in what he had to give me. And a lot of what I do now in worship and my worship style, being very relational, comes from Otto Struckman, or Pastor Otto Struckman. And he was a true blessing to me. And like I said, a lot of my stuff. And 2 things that he did, I haven't done here yet, and I'm looking to do it here. Both happened during Lent. He wrote a series called Who Am I? And I'm sorry, Is It Me? Is It Me, Lord? And what it was he put together a script. And in front of the church, he had a table set up of 12 men, the disciples, for the Last Supper and Jesus. And he would have me play Jesus. And as each disciple answered the question, is it I, Lord? Is it I, Lord? I went around and washed their feet. And then it ended with Judas actually running out of the sanctuary kind of thing. And it was very powerful. And then from there, we moved into the Last Supper and the Lord's Supper. And it was powerful trying to find it in my system upstairs, someplace on my computer. The other thing he did was a question and answer with a passion narrative character. And I know we've done work like that before. And what it is was we each played a character in the passion narrative. And the other person would ask us questions or interview us. And the whole service was as if it was that day. And so we played Pilate, we played Herod, we played Jesus, we played all these different characters. And it was an interview with that character. And I'll never forget, quick story, although that's not my memo, quick, but he played Barabbas. And he came out, and he was so good at this. He came out with an eye patch on for the whole service, said nothing about the eye patch. Well, then we opened the questions up to the congregation. Do you have any questions for Barabbas? And people asked questions. This older lady, had to be like 90 years old, sitting right in front of Pastor Struckman, said, I have a question. Why are you wearing an eye patch? And didn't break character. He said, well, as you know, I had an insurrection in the city and da-da-da-da-da-da. He went on and on and on. And he said, in one of the insurrections, I lost my eye. It got just gouged out. And then he says, do you want to see? And went like this. This 90-year-old lady I thought was going to have a heart attack. She gasped, oh! But he didn't really pick it up. But anyway, Pastor Otto Struckman. Long story, but I had to give kudos to Pastor Struckman. Other person I want to mention, and I mention him all the time, is Ray Smith. And I met Ray again when I was in Pennsylvania a couple of weeks ago with my son in November. And he watches these things. And he says, Bill, you have to stop. And I'm like, I'll never stop. I'll never. He's my leadership guru. When I was at Hope in Levittown, Pennsylvania, it was a difficult ministry. And Ray was by my side. And he taught me what a servant leader is all about, and how to be a leader, and how to be a pastor leader. And he taught me a lot. And I use a lot of Ray's stuff today in my leadership style. And so the benefits are the church council and the elders and the people here. But the real thanks goes to a man named Ray Smith, who is as humble pie can be, who always says, please. But I know he watches. So Ray Smith, you know, brother, I love you. And you've done so much for my ministry. So thank you for what you've done to my ministry as a servant leader of Jesus. So long answer, I'm sorry. But Pastor Otto Struckman and Ray Smith.
Man, I've had a lot. My grandparents, we were talking about them earlier.
They are sweethearts.
James and Darlene, always been a rock in my family. My grandpa just has taught me how to be a man, a godly man, a family man. And my mom has also been a big influencer. Obviously, again, we talk about God, the Bible, stuff like that. But outside of that, in the church, Pastor, you have become a big influencer. Billy, you've become a big influencer to me in our conversations we have. There's two other guys in the church. I don't want to play favorites, but Adam Esterline and Travis Schrader. I've had relationships with those guys for many years. And, both of them are in that. They're not old enough to be my dad, more like a big brother age. And they have taken me under their wings and taught me so much, encouraged me, gotten lunch with me. And so I think about those guys. And then I would be remiss if I didn't mention my wife, Melissa, because at the end of the day, she's probably outside of God, the biggest influencer in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to say, with doing a lot of this work, I've gotten into watching a lot of different podcasts to see what other people are doing and hear what other people are saying. And there's a few religious podcasts that I've been listening to that these men have kind of changed the way I think about what I'm doing in my life, not necessarily my faith or what I believe, but how I'm presenting myself to others. But just like what you just said, Hallie, without her, I would not be the person that I am today. She is by far the largest influence on my life.
Yeah, and I know I didn't mention Donna, my sweetness, but I think she would agree that me mentioning Otto Struckman and Ray Smith, she would definitely agree with those two names. But,
we know how you feel about Donna.
Yeah. My sweetness. But if I know it's a long answer to a short question. I'm trying to answer this question and trying to be as humble as possible.
Yeah, this is not a question that it's easy to be humble
the answer. And believe me, I want to start out, and I believe it's going to be true for Phil as well, is that when we give our answers, we are giving it in very humble attire. I would say the young people. I love kids. As you know, with your youth group, I call them my youths. Yeah. And the confirmation, they're my kids. And anybody who's gone through confirmation with me, you're my kid. I don't care what age you are. I have kids that are now in college and beyond that still call me. I have a young lady who's probably young 30, maybe your age, a little bit older, who still contacts me for it and says what you've done in my life. I have college kids, high school kids. And I would say probably the ones that I've influenced the most, hopefully, prayerfully, are the kids. And I know that is true, humbly know that is true, because they still come back to me and say, what you said to me back then, it really hit home. And now it's coming to fruition maybe 15, 20 years later. Now I'm learning what you meant back then by what you said.
Right.
And so the kids still coming back and still coming to me by text or phone call, email, Facebook, whatever, and asking me, well, Pastor, PC, depending what they call me back then, what do you think? So I would say the young people.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm still too young to know for sure who who for sure I've influenced, but I can say who I hope I've influenced.
Yeah.
Obviously, as the leader of my family, I hope I've influenced Melissa in a positive way. I hope I've influenced Nora and Heidi and Chloe in a positive way. I hope that I've influenced people in the church in a positive way, my clients. I take pride in loving on my clients and serving them and not just being a salesman. I mean, I think those are the things that in the future, you've had a little more life to where you can have people call you and say, hey, thank you for this. I love writing notes to people. It's one of my favorite things to say thank you, to just honor them. And I look forward.
Pause button. I still have one of his notes on my desk that you wrote 2-3 months ago, still on my desk.
Good.
Yes, sir.
I love doing stuff like that. And again, my hope is that influences people, that makes a difference. And I think someday I'll hear some of those stories, hopefully. But for now, it's good enough to just hope and know that I'm trying to do the right thing.
What about the kids on your basketball team you coach?
Sure. Yep. The kids on the basketball team, my daughter's friends. I mean,
Your
anybody.
softball league?
Softball league. Yeah. I mean, I get a little more competitive there. But
Okay.
no, I used to be a lot more competitive. But yeah, I mean, I try to, and I fail every day, but try to on a daily basis, whoever I come in contact with, try to touch them and love on them and bless them. But boy, we fail, don't we? But that's all you can do, I think, for me, especially at my age, is hope that you're starting to make a difference. And then as time goes on, start to see that fruition. Because like the people that we mentioned that have influenced us, it takes time to touch people throughout life. And I think that I'm looking forward to that someday.
And I'm going to start Billy's answer. He might not go here, but I'm going to start Billy's answer because we were just talking about this upstairs in my office before.
Yeah, that's where I'm going.
Okay, yeah. And I mentioned how with my youths, okay, actually his youth group, but my youths, how awesome they are. And I mentioned a couple in the office, and I said, well, Billy, you're making a difference in these kids' lives. Whether you feel it or know it, you're making a difference in these kids' lives. And I just want to set you up for that. So
Well, thank you. It is youth group here that I think I have probably the most impact on. However, I don't want to say that I influenced them. When Hanley and I first started doing this, we did a lot of research, and the one thing that we didn't like that a lot of youth group leaders said is that you have to be their best friends. You have to be in touch with them on all of the social media. You have to be, you have to talk like them and behave, and to me, that just seems not genuine. When I was a kid, I saw through that, that's not who you are. So Hallie and I have always tried to just be true to ourselves and true to the story of our life. They look at my position here in the church. I work with you. I work with other people, leading worship and running things here. That doesn't mean that I'm a good person or a perfect person. I have a past that not everyone would be happy to have. And, being honest with that and showing them that if you walk with Jesus, things can change, things can become different. You can have that influence. And the way that Hallie and I look at it is we want to lead them in a way that they seek Jesus so that he can influence their lives, so that he's the influence, not us. Being that person that is a good example of what it means to have a strong faith. And, that's not to say that we don't encourage them to come to us with things and talk to them about certain topics, because we do. But we're not trying to say, hey, we lived a perfect life, you should too.
And another group too, I could just kind of throw one last group in there too, is my grandkids.
Sure.
And the beauty of being the pastor here is being so close to my grandkids. And you don't know my whole story, but let's just suffice it to say that I kind of messed up when I was a dad, back when the kids were younger. And if you asked Donna, she would tell you she was a single parent. I was a workaholic, still am. But when the grandkids came along, and now that I'm up here, it's a different story. And I said, I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. And so I hope I'm an influence to my grandkids, like you are with your kids, and someday to your grandkids. So, yeah.
It's amazing. Sometimes I'll talk to my kids about things that I remember as a failure as a parent, and they're like, "Oh, that's not what I remember at all. I remember this or that. So, you
Yeah.
know,
Melissa and I were just talking the other night. Christmas break got done, and you look back on the last 17 days, and did we make enough memories with them? And oh, we got angry with them so many times. We were impatient, and we pray that again. It's those good things that we did. We look back, we go, wait, but we played Uno, and we did this, and we took them on a trip, and we did this, and all these different things. And you pray that that's enough,
Right.
you know. And so,
Billy might want to cut this section out. If he does, you won't see this on the thing. But this has been some really great questions. And it's been a little bit longer. And I had this idea just rolling around in my head that this sounds like it's kind of turning into a podcast.
yeah.
So I don't know if we're like beginning to transition into a podcast
teetering on
type
it.
thing. But yeah, so if this makes the screen, Billy kept it in and we're working on it. If not, you have no idea what I just said.
No, these are the type of questions that we would be tackling.
Yeah, so it's almost a
future
podcast.
Yeah. I love it, the parenting stuff. And
Oh,
because
yeah.
the cool thing I love is that we're all at different stages in our life.
That's right.
Like we literally are. I'm a young dad, you're a mature dad, you are a grandpa. I mean, I love the idea of being able to sit down and talk about, but we have to be able to be real.
And that's what the podcast is envisioned.
Yeah.
Is we gotta get a table, round table,
Yeah.
invite in other members of the church, whether that be someone like Travis or Adam or Pastor Work, and discuss these things in an open, honest fashion, and maybe, grow some attitudes and grow ourselves. And
And what's neat about this is that this relationship, no joke, truly honest, this relationship actually started before I actually had the call and accepted the call to the Redeemer. This relationship began even before then. And it just blossomed into where we are now. So, yeah, it just, look for the podcast. 3-question
coming.
podcast. It's coming, folks.
coming.
Yeah. And my answer is pizza, and either Hawaiian pizza, and Canadian bacon really isn't Hawaiian, but Hawaiian pizza, or pepperoni and bacon. Now, in Las Vegas, we tried breakfast pizza. Came out hot, but there was fried eggs on top of the pizza.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like, ew, but it was awesome.
Delicious.
Good.
Now, what's funny about this, when we're at Heather's house, and Heather would say, what are we cooking for dinner? What are we having for dinner?
Now this is Heather.
Heather, my daughter.
Right.
Heather, my
Heather
daughter.
Brad.
Heather, my daughter. If we're at her house or she's at our house and whatever else, and she says, or Donna would say, what are we doing for dinner? Molly will look at me. I'll look at Molly. Without saying a word, at the same time, we both say, pizza. And Heather would say, Dad, you are a bad influence on Molly. But pizza, hands down pizza. If the people didn't want pizza, I'd be second choice.
Okay.
Meatloaf,
Oh,
mashed potatoes,
Yeah.
and cream corn.
This is why I said that in the 411.
Not many people like cream corn.
Oh.
And again with Heather, she made cream corn for New Year's Day. I don't know what she did with it, but it was awesome. I'll get the recipe out. Meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and cream corn.
sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or pizza. What about you, Phil?
Yeah. I love fish.
Sushi?
Oh, yeah.
Sushi?
Love
Oh,
sushi.
yeah?
Love
Yeah.
sushi. Yeah, so big sushi fest.
Big sushi fest.
Yes.
Yeah. Ash Wednesday. Week after. Sushi fest.
Sushi fest.
Yeah.
Say that 10 times.
I can't say it once.
No, a big sushi fest. That would be
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Philadelphia roll, California roll, dragon roll,
Sashimi.
spicy tuna roll.
Little nagami. Oh, yeah.
It's all good.
It's all good. Oh, yeah.
Wow. So, yeah, I mean, you said no cost. That
No
would be
limit.
quite the cost on
Yeah.
a dinner for 50 people.
If people didn't like or want sushi, what would be your second choice?
I think, get out of here.
Ah!
Kidding. Second choice, probably chicken.
Oh, okay.
Just like fried chicken, something
Fried
like that.
chicken, not baked or-
I love what you said about the meatloaf though, mashed potatoes, something savory, something that's, kind of like a home cooked meal.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Any of the above.
I would have to say my choice would be having the meal catered by Texas de Brazil, which is a Brazilian steakhouse.
Oh, he's fancy.
We
It
went.
is fantastic. They bring the meat over to your table.
Yeah.
They slice it off onto your plate.
Nice.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I can't remember the name. It is a Brazilian steakhouse in Chicago that we took Vince to. Not we took him, but we had a big birthday gathering for his birthday in Chicago at a Brazilian steakhouse. Came to the table with the meat, and they cut it on your table and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it was Molly and Owen thought it was the greatest thing because they're cutting the meat right there. And,
Yeah.
All right, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
yeah, so we're out of here.
Wrap it up.
We're out of here. But now we had a second choice.
Uh-huh.
Second choice for you, what would it be?
Odd because my first choice was a very expensive steakhouse. My second choice would be a home cooked meal. My mother-in-law's pot roast.
I thought you were going to say like a corn dog or something.
Fantastic. It is the best pot roast that I've ever had. My wife comes close. Sorry, Helly. But her mom's it'd be something that everyone would enjoy.
Now, again, this has been a little bit longer than usual, and we thank you for sticking with us. It's been an awesome 3 questions, and it just might turn into a new podcast with the 3 of us and the 3 amigos et al.
Yes.
We'll call it something. But
you can feel the Holy Spirit.
You can feel the Spirit moving. Yeah. And we're just we're moving on out of here, aren't we, Phil? Oh, what happened to Brent's question?
Yeah, I did not get to Brent's question because I'm ferreting out some ways to make it actually, because it is an in-depth question.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm going to try to break it out into a series of
We'll leave that
questions.
alone.
As Phil would always say, fair enough.
Thanks again for joining us. If you have any questions about Redeemer, have a topic or interview suggestion, or need to know anything about the church, you can contact the church office at churchoffice@redeemerwarsaw.org,
Pastor Carney at pastor_Carney@redeemerwarsaw.org,
Phil at phil.prevail@gmail.com, or Billy at rlc_it@redeemerwarsaw.org. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and please join us again next week. And until then, may the Lord be with your spirit, and grace be with you.
What would that meal be?
Pizza. Hebrew National Hot Dogs.
Fish. It's in the can.
It's in the can.
That was just a throwaway line that I used there.